Hi Srisha, hi Uday. Good morning. Hope you can hear me.
My God,
Hi.
how are you?
Doing good. What about you?
Good, good. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start the session. Okay, so today we'll be covering the GRC part. Yesterday we discussed mostly about security, and today we'll be covering the GRC part. So, so any questions on yesterday's session, team?
No, not from my side.
Ms. Srisha?
Not really. I need to go through the session again. That is, they have sent
Okay,
us the link.
okay. Okay, so this is the agenda for today's call. We will be discussing the GRC box, then overview of GRC, what all modules is available under GRC. Then we'll be having an overview of the system, how GRC looks like, how you can navigate in the GRC system. And then today's the end of this video of the session, we'll be discussing the course content, what all things we'll be covering in detail. Okay. So this is the architecture of GRC. So basically GRC comprises of 6 to 7 applications in detail, and under GRC, one single ABAP component, you will get three applications. One is access control, then second one is process control, and then third one is risk management. In our sessions, we will be covering access control and rest two other different systems. But from overview perspective, you should be aware how many applications are delivered by SAP under GRC box. So one is access control, process control, and the third one is risk management. These three are the component that we will get it under one slab of GRC, and the component that is called is GRC FND underscore A. GRC Foundation Other. This is the full form. Okay. Apart from this, we will get another other services under GRC, and that is global trade services, trade management, financial compliance, fraud management, then environment regulations, EH&S, then one more component called uh, one is related to NFE, that is Nota Fiscal Electronica. These 7 to 8 components is delivered under the GRC box. We will be working on GRC access control only because this particular control is related to security thing. You should be aware how we are doing the configurations in the system, how you will restrict the users, how you will define the SODs, risk, and all those things. What is firefighter ID, how you should enable it, how you will manage the access request management. So these all things comes under access control, and rest all is delivered by SAP under GRC box, but we will not cover those things under security part. So basically this one, and this GRC risk management. These three components is delivered under GRC Foundation ABAP component part. Rest all is delivered with another services, but it's part of GRC box only. Okay. So overview of GRC. So what is GRC? Basically, governance perspective, you should be having one control or one application that governs your applications on which transactions are performed during real time. So let's say your organization is managing finance through through S4 HANA or ECC system. Then in that scenario, how you will manage the governance of that system and how you will manage the controls, whatever compliances is required at that time for that system. Then all those facilities is given under this GRC component. Okay, so this GRC system, under GRC, you are having one access control. That access control, what all it delivers from GRC overview, it delivers you how you can define risks, how you can define SODs, how you can define firefighter IDs, how in what all ways you can manage your risks in the system, in what all ways you can manage your compliance related activities, how you can perform the audit related activities. So this is all about access control. But if I'll talk about how you can define the risks related to processes, that is part of process control. So compliance, regulation, and if anything comes from the risk perspective, to identify it and to remediate or mitigate it, you will be using this GRC box. Okay. Right now, this particular tool is used by mostly all the organization. Whoever is using S4 HANA or ECC system from compliance perspective, they are either using GRC, which is a non-cloud based application, or they are using IAG for a cloud based application. Let's say business is deployed on cloud based solutions like S4 HANA cloud version or ECC if deployed on the cloud servers, then in that case they are using IAG solution that is delivered by SAP for cloud-based solutions. If they are using SuccessFactors, it's also a cloud-based solution, so they should use IAG only. In case if they are using SAP in-premise solution, then in that case they are using GRC as a separate box, or they just use it with their direct servers. So there are two ways to deploy GRC. One is with the application on which you will use GRC, or with the different server. So there is two combination. You can either deploy GRC on the same server on which your another application is running, for which you will use GRC. This is one of the solution, that is embedded solution. Okay, and the second one is separate solution, that is in that case you will be deploying GRC on another server, and then you will connect those two systems using RFCs. Okay, so this is the basic configuration of GRC, whether you will be deploying it embedded or you will use separate server to deploy GRC. What are the benefits of embedded system? In embedded system, your overall cost of the solution will decrease, because you don't have to hire another server, and then you don't have to make the monthly or yearly payments for that server maintenance and all those things. So infrastructure is reduced. You don't need two more one another resource to have that server related infrastructure related work properties, like one more basis resource is required in doing all those activities from infrastructure perspective. So overall project cost will decrease if you will use embedded solution. What is the disadvantages of this solution? In case if one of your server is down, then you cannot use both the application. This is one big disadvantage, because if server is down, you cannot use your main application like S4 HANA or ECC, as well as you cannot use your GRC solution. In case if you have deployed on two servers, then in case if one of the server is down, then you can use another solution for compliance perspective. Let's say your S4 HANA system is down, so you cannot run the operations or you cannot do the transactions, but you can perform the reports related to your audit, ITGC, compliance. You can run if there is a if there is a review is going on, then you can perform reports related tasks. So that means you can use one of the servers if one server is down. Another server, you can use another server if one server is down. Okay, this is the advantage of separate deployment. Okay, why GRC? So GRC is basically used whenever you are using a solution, whenever you are using SAP as a solution or non-SAP systems as a solution. So SAP has provided GRC in which you can use non-SAP applications also for for two for two things. One is risk analysis, and the second one is access management. But in that case, you won't be using the firefighter or the fourth concept called role management. So there are four concepts. One is risk analysis, then the second one is firefighter, then the third one is role management, and the fourth one is access management. So for the applications which is not part of SAP, or they are not SAP delivered solutions, then in that case you can use two things. One is risk management, and the fourth concept is access management. So these two things you can deploy in case if you are not using SAP based solution to connect to GRC box. Okay.
Sir, Rohit sir, one question. So today most of the applications or tools, they have also their own embedded access management modules. So what you're saying is that SAP GRC can actually integrate those applications, and you can do access management for those independent applications through the SAP GRC also, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
So
it's
you
up to
can,
you how you want the designing looks like for your
yeah,
particular
the
system. Let's
architecture.
say, yes. So let's say your system allows you to do your another GRC box. Let's say any other organization like Archer is there, GRC Archer is there. In
Mhm.
case if you want to connect your GRC Archer to GRC box, and then you have to do some activities through GRC Archer for GRC through to S4 HANA, then that is possible. But why you are adding new channel? If you can perform that same activity using GRC Archer for S4 HANA, then why you are adding new channel? So it's a delay in your overall processing. But that facility is available. If you want to integrate it, you can.
Okay. But primarily, in the market today, SAP GRC is used to manage access management for SAP modules primarily, correct?
Correct, correct. So,
Okay.
and not only for access management. Access management solution is given under access control box. For there are three boxes under GRC. One is process control, access control, and risk management. So other two boxes are there for process related risk. Like let me
Right.
tell you. So I'll cover that part later. So these three things you can cover under GRC box. Initially under one component, that is GRC foundation attack. Okay.
Okay. You can cover, but the preferred today, the mode is that GRC is used for SAP modules, and market is still following for independent applications, the applications access management module itself.
Yes, correct. So
Got
if
it.
organization is using non SAP based applications also, then in that case they can connect it using GRC. That is the
Got it.
overall solution. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So just now I told you there are modules under GRC. So one is access control. So under access control, you will get four sub modules. One is access risk analysis, ARA. Then second one is ARM, access request management. Then the third one is EAM, emergency access management. Then fourth one is BRM, business role management. What is ARM? So under ARA, you will heard these many things like risk, then business process, then function, then one more concept called actions. So these four constitute. Business process is nothing but, let's say you are working under R2R. This is one business process, P2P, procure to pay, record to report. These two are the mainly used business processes. So under this business processes, let's say your organization is saying the one who is creating a PO should not approve the same. So this is one conflict in the system. Okay, how you will define this conflict? This can be defined under risk. Under ARA, there is a concept called risk. So risk is nothing but risk is further segregated into SODs, then critical action, critical permissions. But mostly what is risk? Risk is basically in terms of access control, it's basically talks about the SOD concept, segregation of duties. So these all things comes from audit perspective. Whenever your auditing team is doing audit in the system, they will identify is there any fraud transaction performed in the system. Based on that they will design one matrix that you should not assign these two transactions to a single user. Now what is transaction in SAP? Whatever things you are performing in SAP, for that there is one code delivered by SAP, and that code you need to run, and then only that transaction is being executed in SAP system. So yesterday when I show you SU01 transaction, that is one T code or transaction. What that T code delivers? User maintenance capability. Okay. When I executed SU01 in the system, a new screen opens, and that is user maintenance screen. Okay. So that transaction is nothing but T code or transaction. Okay. And what that transaction? When you execute that transaction, you will see a new application is executed or new process is executed in the system. So each and every process in SAP is associated with a transaction code. Okay. Now, in how you will define these SODs? or a segregation of duties. So in access control, risk means SOD, critical action, critical permission. Critical action is nothing but critical T code. Let's say you have identified some T codes which are critical in terms of business operations. Then in that case, you will define those critical T codes as critical actions. Okay, this facility is available under GRC. Now under yesterday I told you, if you are going to create a rule for PFCG, then you can define it under two ways. Let's say you are saying that we need display access only. So critical permission is nothing but critical access that you want to give to that user for that particular T code. Let's say some T codes are critical in terms of activities. Let's say SU01, if you are giving to user with change or create access, then that change and create access comes under permission. Okay. And if you think that some of the T codes which are critical in nature by permissions only, then in that case you will be defining based on the permissions also. Okay. So critical permission is basically the activities that you will be giving to a user for that particular T code. Now the third concept is SOD. These are the three concepts of risk. So SOD is nothing but segregation of duties. If you have identified two actions or two T codes that is conflicting in nature, let's say one user is having access to create PO and the same person is having access to approve that same PO, then is it a risk to the system? Yes. Because if same person is creating the PO and same person is approving the request, then he or she may commit fraud in the system. He can create a non-valid PO in the system and later he can approve it, right? So that purchase order is approved, and once that purchase order is approved, it will be going through finance process and they will release the amount to the bank of that particular vendor, correct? So that means you have to define something under risk that can conflict, that can raise a conflict if someone is assigning these two access to the user. Then how you will do that? Through SOD. So under SOD, you will define one risk. Under risk, you will define two actions. Those are conflicting in nature. Okay. So this is mainly under the access control ARA component. So these all things you will get it. Once risk is identified, there are two ways to remediate it. One is remediation and the second one is there are two, one is remediation and the second one is allowing the risk to the user. Okay. Or you can call it as mitigation. So there are two concepts under. Once risk is identified, one is remediation. So remediation is nothing but if you have identified a risk in the system, so first solution is remove it, directly remove it. Let's say you are saying user is having ME21N that is for creation of PO and ME29N that is for approval of PO. So what remediation suggests? Remove either of these T codes. Let's say either you can remove ME21N or you can remove ME29 to remove this risk from the user. In terms of critical action, let's say user is having access to SU01. So if you want to go ahead with remediation, that means you should remove this T code from the user. Now the second option is mitigation. Mitigation is nothing but, let's say your organization is saying, in most of the organization you will see just security team is divided under two categories. One is security user maintenance team and the second one is security role maintenance team. Because if I am the one who is doing both the activities, then it's a risk to the system. Either you can work on user maintenance or you can work on role maintenance. Why? Let's say I have created one user and I have created a role for that user with all the accesses in the system. And I have just assigned that role to the user. That means that user can perform anything in the system. So it's a big risk for the organization. That's why two separate teams are deployed in the organization. But let's say your organization is small and you cannot hire these many candidates for your organization. So only one candidate is working under security, then who will handle both the transaction? That same guy will handle both the transaction. How you will handle in that case that risk? So that risk will be handled with the mitigation process. That means we will mitigate that risk, saying that right now we do not have enough resources. So we are allowing these two T codes for this user based on business approvals. Okay. This is one of the concept under GRC AC and submodule called ARA. Now there is another module called EAM. What is EAM? Emergency Access Management. So emergency access management is nothing but the facility of giving additional access to consultants. Previously, what's going on with when GRC is not there, you have to create some basic roles in the system, and those roles holds mostly all the accesses of the system. Let's say your consultant is doing some activity and he faced authorization issue, and that's a P1 issue. P1 issue means you have to rectify that issue within 2 to 4 hours, and you have to provide either the proper solution or the alternative solution to the business so that they can run day-to-day activities. Okay, so in that case, how you will handle that situation? You have to assign SAP all and SAP new. So SAP all is a profile. Yesterday I told you two things. One is roles and the second one is profile. So under profiles, you will see two pre-delivered solutions from SAP. One is SAP all and SAP underscore new. These two are the pre-delivered solutions from SAP. What is SAP all? SAP all is basically consist of all the authorizations of SAP. And in case, what is SAP new? In case if SAP is delivering every 3 months, you will see a release from SAP. So all the new transactions or all the new codes that is being introduced by SAP at that time, all those things will be introduced under SAP underscore new profile. So whenever you want to give any user with all the accesses of the system, then you have to assign these two profiles to the user directly without any role. Okay. So what I was telling you, in case of firefighter IDs, you are giving this similar access by just adding these accesses to a rule. Let's say you have created one rule and you have given SAP all and new kind of access by using the copy option, and you have just given that access to a user. Previous to this, we are assigning this access manually, and right now under supervision or under recording mode, you are assigning this access so that if person is doing anything wrong in the system, so you can trace it back and identify who did that and what was the reason behind it. Previous to this, when you are assigning this access to that user, right now we are assigning the same thing to the user, but previous to this, without GRC box, you cannot trace it back. Okay, at that time, that tracing facility is not there. But right now with GRC box, you can trace it end to end and identify who did that activity and what was the reason behind it. Is there any particular approvals taken at that time and who did it and what was the reason? So you can catch that person and ask why you have performed this activity. Okay, so that's why from business perspective, and this is a big risk to the solution, to the entire system, whenever you are assigning this kind of access to even to a consultant, and if they have committed some crime or some kind of fraud, then how you will identify? At that time, there is no way to identify that part. But through GRC, you can identify because everything that you are doing through firefighter ID is recorded. Okay. It's a recorded environment. So whatever you will perform using the firefighter ID, all things are recorded and you can identify who did that activity in the system. This is emergency access management. Okay, in case of emergency, if you are giving additional access to the user, then you can use recording capability of the system to identify who did the activity and what all activities was performed by the user. Okay, this is the second module of access control. Emergency access management. Now the third one is business role management. So why BRM is introduced? Let's say your business is having 10 different applications of SAP. One is S4 HANA, ECC, SRM, CRM, BW, BI, HANA. Each and every system is having their own roles concept, right? Yesterday I show you one transaction called PFCG, and over there we can create the rules. So each and every system, let's say your system consists of 5 to 6 landscapes, then for each landscape you have to create rules manually. But using this GRC business rule management, you can connect all your other systems and can run business rule management through this one single system and create rules in all the other systems. Okay, so in this case, you don't need much more resources to handle all the systems. You just need to have one single guy for rule maintenance for all the other applications. Got it? Now the fourth one is access request management. Okay, so this fourth concept is introduced whenever, let's say, your organization is right now following a manual process. Let's say your organization hired a new user, and that whenever you are hired a new user, there are some compliance related activities. You have to just onboard him, then you have to take the business approval. Then after business approval, you need to connect that guy with the particular resource manager. Then that resource manager will raise a ticket for him, or that guy can raise a ticket as per the business processes. Either his manager or that guy can raise a ticket for herself or himself. And after raising the ticket in the tool, his manager should approve that request. After approval, that ticket will come to your security queue. Then your team will analyze the details like first name, last name, so that a user can be created under SU01. After user creation, you have to ask for the roles, which all roles should be given to the user. If they are providing the roles name, it's good. Otherwise, they will provide that 5 to 6 list of T codes. Then you have to identify the roles for that. And after assigning the roles, you can close the ticket. So all this is a manual process right now. But using ARM concept, access request management concept, everything is automated. Under GRC, your manager will log in. He will raise a ticket in the system. If he is raising the tickets, it's auto approved because the guy who is owning that ticket is his or her manager. Okay, so that is auto approved. But in case if that person is raising the ticket, that ticket will redirect to his manager for approval. Once he approves it, the system will automatically provision the user in backend system and assign relevant role for that user. Okay, so basically it's a kind of automation for business process related to onboarding and offboarding of the user. Or in case if you want to update your roles or do some changes in your existing roles under SAP, then in that case also you can use this option. In case of firefighter ID assignment, automatically you can use this ARM box. Okay, so in case of user access review, you can also use ARM. Risk SOD review, you can use ARM. So everything is automated using ARM thing. Now, second module that is introduced by SAP is process control and fraud management. What is process control? So hope you have heard this line, prevention is better than cure. So process control is nothing but prevention. Before anything happens or before any risk identified in the system, you have to do a prevention check. Okay. Just now I told you, let me give you one example. Let's say your organization is saying you should not assign SAP underscore all or new profile to anyone in the system. Okay, that means whenever you are giving access to these two profiles to the user can access any of the application and he can commit any fraud in the system. Okay, so this is one thing. If this thing is introduced in the system, then using process control, you can create an automated control in the system. And using that automated control, what you are giving instruction to the SAP saying that whenever any user in SAP has access to a SAP underscore all or SAP underscore new profile, immediately send a notification to business IT lead for actions. Okay, so using automated controls, you can define these types of controls in the system. This is one of the control. Whatever you want, even you can, from apart from security, you can define anything based on the other fields also. So there are two types of automated controls can be defined. One is value based and the second one is change history based. What is value based? So right now we are talking about value based. Whenever we are saying a value needs to be checked, right now I told you that if a person is assigned to a SAP underscore all on new profile, that means a value is associated over here. And if you are saying anything related to this field is changed, let's say there is one user and you want to monitor who all is doing changes on that. So you can create a control on that and you can identify who did that change. So in case if changes happens, that is change history is created for that particular field, and you want that particular, in case if it's changed, a notification should be gone to that particular business person for further actions. Okay. So these two types of automation controls can be defined. And what is these two controls? These two controls will identify, will notify you in case if these two controls will notify your particular business head before a risk, before a crime is committed in the system. Okay, so this is basically a prevention check. Okay, and let's say once anything happens in the system, let's say you have assigned SAP underscore all to the group and someone committed a crime in the system, then in that case you have to use fraud management. Okay, so these are the two different things in the system. One is prevention check and the second one is cure. Prevention is nothing but before anything happens in the system, how you can restrict those things to be done in the system. So let's say right now we have defined one automated control, and you have defined in case if any user have access to this type of profiles, then an immediate notification should be triggered to the business IT head for further actions. Okay, let's say just now I assigned, and after 10 minutes that automated control executed in background, and he identified that this user is having access to this particular profile, and at the same time a notification is triggered to the business IT head. So once business ID had received the notification, he will immediately inform security team to remove that profile and just explain the reason why you have assigned it. Okay, this is basically a prevention check. Okay,
So,
right
sir,
now, yes, yes,
so sir, sorry. So, in case you implement this rule retroactively, or like sorry, post post implementation and all, it will run in the background, and I whenever you run the rule, it will identify such accounts even in the current state. Correct?
yes. So it basically depends how your automated control frequency is defined in the system. If your
Okay.
frequency is defined on every hour, then every hour you will be, all these particular records will be checked in the system, and in case if anything identified, then a notification is triggered. If your organization is saying not hourly, they are saying daily basis, so at what time that job is scheduled based on the business discussions, at that time a notification is triggered to the business. Okay, so it
Okay.
basically depends upon the automated control job frequency, how frequently the job is running.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
so and fraud, what fraud management provides, let's say your organization is doing, in your organization someone committed a fraud. Okay, how you will analyze in that case? Let's say I have assigned SAP underscore all to a user, and your job executed after 13 hours, and someone committed a crime in that duration. Okay, then what all activities can be handled through this? Now process control cannot help in doing any such related activities. Now fraud management comes into picture. Here you will be giving what all instructions is required at that time, whether you need to reverse the PO, whether you need to inform finance team. So all those things, whatever you are going to perform in that system, let's say that person created a PO and approved on his behalf, and after that he logs in using, he accessed the finance transaction, did some releasing of the parked invoices, created one invoice and approved that invoice, and then it triggered the payment to the vendor's account, and vendors is none other than that same person. Okay. At that time, fraud management will help you what all activities is performed in the system using that thing, and now what all solutions can be given to remediate that risk. Okay, all those things you can document all the things in the system, so that next time when audit performed, they should be aware that this kind of fraud is happened in the system. So all the documentation, you can take a screenshot, prepare a documentation. Those documentation you can upload in the fraud management application. Apart from that, once that risk is identified, that entire process, what all things is created through that chain, you can see all the associated processes, and you will get the proposed solution from SAP, what all you can do right now. Okay. So fraud management is basically a cure related part, how you can cure your risk in the system. Okay. Okay. Now the third one is risk management. Till now we are talking about two risks. One is access related risk, and that will be covering under access control ERA component. And the second one is process related risk, that we have covered under process control. Now the third one is risk management. So organizational related risks are managed under this component. What all organizational related risks? Let's say you have a policy identified in your system, and you are giving 10 days break on a daily basis and 5 days as a sick leave. Now your organization, in your organization is someone you misusing this type of facilities or policies, then all those things can be covered under this risk management concept. Okay, so risk management is basically organizational related risk, whatever risk that is affecting your organization. Okay, not in terms of financial way or not in terms of process related, but overall organization, if it's impacting, then all the documentation and all the related associated work can be done here with the help of your auditor's team. So this particular module is designed based on the auditor's concept. Okay. Now the next one is Nota Fiscal Electronica. This particular type of concept is defined for Brazilian companies. So in Brazil, you will see that all the organization is following daily invoicing and submitting tax to the government. So on daily basis, they have to invoice, and whatever tax is collected at the end of the day, they need to submit that tax invoices to the government, so that government can identify all the tax related. So it's not a yearly part. In India, you will see at the end of March, you will see that tax governing part is done in the system. But in Brazil, you will see that every on daily basis, they have to generate the tax invoices and submit the whatever tax they have deducted from their production or whatever it is, whatever organization whatever they are doing. Based on that, they have to submit the tax invoices to the government. So this particular solution is designed for Brazilian organization to comply with daily invoicing part. Okay, so this is basically designed for Brazilian organization. Audit management. So just now I explained you fraud management and this audit management. So each and every organization is doing auditing. Okay, auditing can be done in terms of ITGC. Then there is one another audit that is called SOX. Then ISO standards related audit is performed on the system. So this particular solution of GRC will provide you end-to-end process related. Even you can customize your own process. Let's say in ITGC, I'll tell you in ITGC there are three types of checks. One is access related checks, then change management related checks, and basic checks. So these three checks, what they are doing in those three checks, in access related checks, they will identify what all users you have created in that duration, what all access you have given to those users, how many new rules is introduced in the system, whether proper approvals taken at the time of user creation, whether proper approvals taken at the time of new role creation or new role assignment to existing users or to the new users. Okay, so this is under the access management check. Now the second one is change management check. What is change management check? Each and every organization is having different fields with whatever they are using under SAP. Let's say finance, CO, SDMM. So each and every team is having their change related cycle. Okay, so let's say in finance, business has requested some new changes. How they will move to production system? Through transport request. and those transport requests is nothing but change management part. Okay, so let's say finance related transport went to last Thursday around 5 transport went. So those 5 transports must be associated to a change ticket, and those change tickets are part of your change management process. So whenever you are doing any changes in the system, let's say finance team is doing some changes in the finance related process, then there should be one ticket associated with that change with proper approvals from the business. And while you are moving those changes to the business, again you must be having proper approvals saying that now we are releasing these changes to the production system, and after this date you will see these changes to be enabled in the system. So at that time you need to take approvals for transport management also. So this particular process of change management is comes under change management of auditing part also. So well, let's say you have created 15 TRs from finance in last 3 months. So those 15 TRs will be part of auditing at the time of review. They will select 1 or 2 TRs and they will ask you to share the evidence, whether you have taken proper approvals at the time of initiating the request, who created that request, is it the authenticated person who can raise the request or not, then whether you have taken proper approvals at the time of releasing the changes to production system. So whatever process you have defined for change management, whether all those processes is followed at the time of execution of that particular TRs or not. Okay, in the same way, there is one third check in auditing, that is for basis team, whether you are taking daily backups. Let's say you have introduced daily backups in the system, then whether all the backups are taken properly, all the backups are in green, whether in case if any backup is failed, what all activities you have performed, whether you have initiated a re-backup, how it was handled, a ticket was created or not, whether you have informed business or not. So all these things related to infrastructure, whatever things, so those things covered under the third part of audit, that is basis management. Okay, so all these things you can use it, you by using audit management you can perform all these activities, and you can, using audit management, you can attach all the relevant documents. You can create your own tracks, create a track and assign it to business for particular review. So so I'll give you one example. In ITGC, your external auditors will connect with one SPOC from business, and that SPOC is nothing but business IT head or business SAP head. Okay, that particular person is assigned. Let's say you have created a track in this audit management, and once you created a track, let's say one track is created for user access review. Okay, user access review or user creation review. So one track is created in the system, user creation review. You will ask what all details is required from your end, and then you will assign that track to business or SAP IT head. Okay, business SAP IT head. You can assign that track to a business SAP IT head. Business SAP IT head will assign that track to security team. Then security team will open that track and read what all details is required from you. So let's say they are saying you have to provide what all users is created in the duration, last 3 months or 6 months, whether that review is going for quarterly or half yearly, whatever it is. Based on that, we have to run the reports in SAP system and attach that report to that particular track. After you attach that reports in that track, you can reassign that track to as business SAP IT head. Then business SAP IT head will validate the details and then reassign that track to auditors. Auditors will review that track. Then again, they will come up with 2 or 3 records. That, let's say you have created 20 users in last 3 months, and as per their process, they need to select 30% of the records. So 30% of 20 users is 6 users. So they will identify 6 users and ask for the evidences. Then again, that track is assigned to your business IT head. Business IT head will forward that track, seeing the request, and will request the security team to provide the details. Then again, your team will identify all the evidences for that and assign those evidences to that track and reassign that track to business IT head. So in this way, that entire process will go on. why we are using right now, if you are not using audit management, so everything is manual. Okay, all the things is done through mails, calls, everything is manual. So let's say you have initiated a conversation, they will directly send an email to you, keeping your SAP business IT head in CC, and ask you all the details in single email. Let's say in single email, they will ask you share user management history, user creation history, user change history, what all roles created in the system. But using this tool, everything is process based. Okay. So you cannot ask directly to the security team to share that evidences. But using this tool, you have to go through the processes. So it's basically a process oriented tool, and everything is possible in this. Even you can manage, create, and modify the processes as well. Got it? Okay.
So just
Yes,
one
yes.
clarification, using this track management, basically in that module, they can add the like users or the security individuals whom they are asking the request, and that will automatically flow to their sort of
Yes,
inboxes.
yes.
And
So
okay,
customization is possible in all ways.
okay.
Okay, whether it's a user, whether it's a group related, whether it's a process related. So it's up to you how you want to define your processes in the system. Once you have defined the processes, then create a new request or create a new task and work as per the processes.
And because it is all linked to Active Directory, you can pick users, select
Yes, yes, correct.
whom. Okay, okay, got it.
Ashlisha, any queries?
No, no, sir.
Okay. So I'm not going too fast, right? I I know you are not from the SAP background, but we are getting the things right.
Yeah, I'm grasping some things. I can't say 100%, but yeah.
Okay. 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 So this fraud management I already told you. So this GRC, just a minute. This GRC GTS. So this global trade services system, let's say if you are doing trade in other areas, other countries, then in that case, trade related policies is applicable to you. And those policies, and to comply with those policies, this new system is introduced by SAP team. This system will help you in compliance with the policies with the country for which you are doing the trade in or trade out. Okay, so basically, if you are doing international trades, then in that case, the countries through which you are doing this trade in or trade out, the policies that country is having, those policies you need to comply with. So all those policies that country holds, in comply with those policies, you have to use this GRC tool. This GRC tool is not part of GRC ABAP component, but there is a separate component delivered by SAP, and then once you enable that component, then you can use this particular software. Okay. So for trade related compliance, you have to use this solution. Okay, let's come down to the GRC system. You can see my SAP screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'll tell you. So this is the GRC box. I'll double click on it. Let's log in over here. Okay. Okay, so just now I told you there is one component called GRC FND underscore A. So how you will check? So under GRC there are versions. Previously we are using 5.0, 5.1, 2, 3, 4 till 5.4. It's a older version. But now you will see 10.0, 10.1, 10.1 and 12. Okay, so these three are the versions delivered by SAP. And how you will identify which version you are using currently. So under system, if you click on system and go to the status option, just click on product version. So over here you will see the details. Click on this one, and over here you can see this component GRC FND underscore A. This is GRC Foundation ABAP. This V1000 means you are using 10.0. V1100 means you are using 10.1. V1200 means you are using version 12. Okay, this is the support pack level on every quarterly basis. Every quarter you will see one version is released in the system, and after every 2 or 3 years they will release new version in GRC. Okay, so this is GRC Foundation ABAP. This is the front end component in where you are using GRC system. Okay, now to connect GRC with any other application, you must be having another component in backend system, and that should be GRC PI NW or GRC PI ERP. What is the difference between these two? GRC PI NW will not give you the HR part. Let's say your organization is also doing HR related activities using SAP application, then in that case you have to use GRC PI ERP. ERP is basically used wherever you are using HR component. Okay, in case if you are not using HR component, then you can use this particular component in the backend system. Right now, these two components is given on the same server because this is an embedded approach. I told you, right? There are two types of deployment. One is embedded and the second one is separate system. So this is the embedded approach. Same application as well as GRC is running on the same box. This is the GRC and this is the backend system, like your S4 HANA system also. Okay. So this is GRC FND underscore A and GRC PI NW. In case if you are using two different systems, then this must be deployed on one server and this must be deployed on the another server where you are using your main SAP application system. Got it? Okay. Now the screens that must be familiar to you is NWBC, Net Viewer Business Client. Overhead working. You have to use the same ID. Over there it should work, but JavaScript is not working. Need to check on that part. Just click on this NWBC. Okay. Once you click NWBC, this is the access that you will get it. Why all these access is coming? Because my ID is having SAP underscore all and SAP underscore new. But mostly those you will be using these four components for AC. One is my home, setup, access management, and reports and analysis. All the setup related configuration is done under the setup work center. These are called work center. Okay, my home work center, setup work center, access management work center, reports and analytics work center. So all the settings related to GRC done through this box. Okay, and all the access related access part, or you want to raise a request for access request, you want to create a role in the system, so role management, so all the management related activities is done through this work center. And for reporting and analytics purpose, you can use this work center. And my home is basically the basic access given to your ID, whether you can delegate it, request password change, so all those things can be done through this particular page. Okay, so mainly you will be using these four: my home work center, setup work center, access management work center, and reports and analytics work center. These four are the component delivered for access control. Now, right now I can see all these components because I am having all the accesses related to GRC. Got it? This is one thing. Apart from this, if you want to see, okay, let me show you SPRO. So from where you will be doing the configuration. So this is the only T code where you will run the configuration. Click run SPRO. This is the T code. Go to SAP reference IMG. Over here you will see GRC. GRC. So everything is performed over here only. Okay. So under general settings, you will see these many options. Then under each and everything is, oh, and just now I told you three processes are there: access control, process control, and risk management. So these three can be controlled over here. So under general setting, you can see activate applications in client. If I click on this one, then you will see three components: AC, access control, PC, process control, risk management, risk management. If you want to activate or deactivate any of the application, you can do it from here. Let's say you are using AC only, then just select AC and activate. If you are not using PC, deactivate it. If you are not using RM, deactivate it. Just remove these two, click on these icons and save it. Then in system, you cannot use that component. If you want to use it, then you have to add that component and click on active. Then only you can use that component in the system. So you can enable or disable any component in the GRC system. Okay, this is one of the things. Rest all will be covering whenever we are doing the configuration, but configuration can be done from this tab: governance, risk and compliance tab. So all the things, access control related configurations can be done here. There are some common components that are common among these three. Okay, so these three are integrated as well. So one is this: access control is integrated with process control, and process control is integrated with risk management. What is the best way of doing implementation? First of all, risk management must be installed, then process control must be delivered, then access control should be delivered. So it must be implemented in this way: risk management, then process control, then access control. But mostly organization is doing access control, then process control, and very less organization is using risk management. But the recommended way of doing this implementation from SAP is first risk management, then process control, then access control. Okay. So these component related settings you can see under these three part, and the common settings you can do it over here. Shared master data settings, whatever master data is shared among these three, all those configuration need to be done here. General settings is basically, just now I show you that you can activate and deactivate components. So all those things can be performed here. So here you can do the configuration. This is the single T code and all the configuration is done here. Clear? Okay.
Sir, this access to practice all this will be given later, is it?
You will get it. I think tomorrow you will get it.
Okay, okay. So that means there will be an instance enabled, and these like how to access, how to log in, and this process that you showed.
So you will get this application access. So this is nothing but remote desktop. You will get
Correct.
that remote desktop settings. Once you
Okay.
come down to here, you have to just double click on this, and a new user is created for you. Just log in with those users, and then you can access this system. Okay.
Okay. And once we connect, the path you showed to access
Those are
GRC.
already enabled for you.
Oh.
You will be having SAP all and SAP new kind of access. Okay, so you can see all these things in the system.
Okay. And those T codes like SPRO and NBCW you showed for
Yes.
security, and that you will again just repeat for us, right?
If you want, you can ask me, no issues, or you can go through the recordings. Or
Okay. But
whenever, so these are the generic T codes. Whenever we will run those transaction codes, you can again note it down. It's up to you. If you want, I can
okay.
tell you again. Okay, so mostly the configuration is done through these T codes only. So whenever we are doing the configuration, we have to run those T codes. It's basic.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay, so demo is done. It is the source transfer. Okay, so for detailed course part, you have to just search for Geeks. Open this website. Here in the SAP HANA, go to this SAP GRC. And here you can see the full syllabus. Okay, so overview, what all we will be covering. So we will be covering the introduction to ERP, RC. So this is already done. Then we will be having one session on user administration, different security roles, concept and setup, master security tables, transaction code and troubleshooting. Then security authorization and profile parameters, config, GRC overview. Then project implementation consideration, RAR, then SPM. So this is nothing but ARA, access risk analysis, then EAM, emergency access management. Then this is compliant user provisioning, ARM. So all four components will be covered. Then this is nothing but BRM, business role management. And if you want to do any certification, I'll help you out in just giving you the name which certification is applicable for you for GRC and security. And these two you will get it from Geeks, mock interviews, job assistance. So all these things are here. You will get it from Geeks. If you want details, so you can read it out under overview of SAP. All these things will be delivered. So this is the end-to-end syllabus that we'll be covering. Till here we will be covering. So 13 modules are there. And these are the four modules: BRM, and this is ARM, EAM, and AR. AR is divided into two parts. So I have given you the basic idea what is SOD, what is pre and post installation check that we will cover. SOD I have given you a basic idea. Then in the same way, you will see the project understanding, what all things you need to do it in the project from implementation perspective. So all those things are there. And this is but nothing but the security. So we'll be covering this audit part also. So under security, you can define the auditing parameters so that system will record all the activities in the system related tables also we'll be covering. So all those things, rules and rules related concept like single, composite, and derived rules. So all these things we'll be covering in our upcoming sessions. So this is all we'll be covering. And apart from this, so for the all these things, you can connect with Unogate. They will help you out in getting the job assistance, creation of resume, and all those things. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen to that. Okay. So till today you are using admit option in this in joining this call, right? Till today I am just admitting you in the call, but from tomorrow onwards there is one passcode given to you, and using that passcode you have to log into the system. So for that passcode part, and if you want to continue, then you have to connect with this Geeks team. Here are the details. You just note it down. You can call him or just mail him and ask for the formalities, what all is required if you want to continue. So from tomorrow onwards, a passcode is given to you, and through that passcode, you have to log into the this particular sessions. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can ask for today's session, yesterday's session, any doubt, anything that you want to clarify, anything, whatever. Maybe it's related to job assistance, whatever it is, you can ask.
Sir, only one request that I think little familiarity with SAP is less. Just the pace when you go into demos and system navigation, and when we start doing it, just bear with us. That was only one request, sir.
Okay, sure.
And give us if you like. I think course will probably give few exercises. If you want to give us more exercises, it's also okay, sir. Just in terms of practice
Okay,
or extra reading, like for this particular concept to learn in depth. If you have any YouTube links that you can share later, please do share.
okay, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Ashlisha, any queries? Anything that you want to highlight?
Not really. I wish the pace was little slower because, like I said, I'm not familiar with these things. So that's the only request I have.
Okay, so if you are thinking that pace is on the higher side, then you can go through the recordings.
Yes, yes,
Okay, just go through the recordings, and if you have any queries, you can ask in the next session.
sure.
Okay, even if you think that pace is on the higher side, you can let me know. I'll try to just go down.
Sure.
Okay.
Sir, is there any T code reference library
So there
which
are
we
around 1,20,000 T codes in the system.
okay.
So there is no reference library. You have to learn the important T codes from security perspective, and some
Right.
T codes that are highlighted in terms of auditing. So those are the critical T codes. So I'll highlight all those things. You can just learn
Yeah.
those T codes. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That is what I only GRC related I'm asking actually.
Okay, so under GRC, there are not much, only SPRO and WBC. These are the two T codes that you will use mostly. In
GRC and security.
configuration and under security, you will be using SU01, SU10, SU24. So mostly it's related with SU and one other T code, that is PFCG. Rest all is SU related T codes. SU01, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 till 10, it's there. But mostly you will be using either SU01 or SU10, then SU24, 21, 22, 23. These are the 6 related transactions for security, and other from GRC perspective, only 2, 3 are there. But each and every process that is associated in SPRO is having a different T code naming convention. So if you are going through SPRO, only one T code is there. So you have to learn the path. If you are running through the T codes, then each and every path in SPRO is having a T code associated with it. So it's up to you how you want to learn, whether T code or it's through the path. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions? So in SAP, there are around, I think around 20,000 T codes are there, and 1,20,000 plus objects are there in SAP. So which these 20,000 T codes are handled. So it's really tough to learn all the things. That is the case. And mostly in interview, they will ask you authorization objects. Authorization objects are there around 1,20,000. And in some T codes, it's shared, but in some T codes, those are not shared, and you have to just keep it in mind. Let's say you are doing implementation for one business client, and you have identified that this T code is used for this purpose. So you have to keep it in mind or write it down somewhere. So that is the case. Any other questions, team?
So tomorrow onwards, we'll be getting into the actual the administration aspects and tool,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. So you will be getting tools access. Along with that, you will be getting the what it called, Google Drive link. Over there, I'm just putting the PPT. So you will get the Drive link, and that Drive link will be there with you for forever. But you will not get download option. So it's a read-only option over there. You can just open the videos from there if you want to see the recordings, and you will get system access. You can try and test it at your end as well. Whatever I'm teaching, just run it from your end. Just create users, create multiple users. Whatever transaction I'm telling you, you just do a hands-on on that. And if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Right, sir. Thank you.
If you have any doubt, let's say how I'm getting the access and all those things, for that you can connect with Geeks team. This is the email ID and number. Just check with him what all things they will deliver. And if you have any other questions related to job assistance and anything else, then you can check that also with that team. Any other question? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ashlisha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.